weather that never happened.
Right.
Thank you, Texas. My name is Todd Camp. I'm the founder and director of YesterQueer, which is the Tarrant County LGBTQ History Project. Before we get started, I want to make some general housekeeping announcements. As a reminder, this is a casual conversation, so feel free to grab a drink throughout and chime in if you have any thoughts or stories to pass along. Jen will probably be taking drink orders throughout too. I want this to be a conversation, not a lecture, so Sharon and I would both like to hear from you. And if you would like more information about YesterQueer, oh, now it's going to play. I'll let it play.
Look what I got for you, my love. I know.
There you go, my love. There you go.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Whatever may come, world keeps me worrying. Thinking the next big thing is deep, that the revolution's near. But to me it seems quite clear that it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
Alrighty. As a reminder, I said this casual conversation, please, everybody feel free to join in throughout. If you'd like more information about YesterQueer or about LGBTQ SAGs, or you want to learn how to sign up for our newsletter or volunteer, we have a sign-up sheet up front with our little pop-up display of materials, so be sure to check that out before you guys take off. We'll also have a QR code at the end if you'd like to do so digitally. So, with that, welcome to The Kids Are All Right, queer youth groups from the Teen Project to LGBTQ SAGs. My very special guest tonight is Sharon Herrera. Sharon is the founder and executive director of LGBTQ SAGs, an organization whose mission is to provide safe and brave spaces for the social and personal development of LGBTQ youth, providing physical and virtual programs designed to offer hope in the lives of every young person they serve. Sharon is a veteran of the U.S. Air Force, turned community, Air Force in the house, that's good to hear. Turned community leader who works with many organizations, universities, and school districts to help further education on LGBTQ issues. She currently works for the Fort Worth ISD, where, in a past collaboration with John Nelson and the late Tom Annable and David Mack Henderson, the leaders of Fairness Fort Worth, she successfully challenged the district to add a non-discrimination policy championing equality for students as well as staff. She serves on a number of important local boards, including the Parenting Center Board, the Alliance Child and Family Solutions Board, as well as the founding board of Transform 1012 North Main. Yeah, this is exciting. A community coalition of organizations transforming the former Ku Klux Klan auditorium north of downtown into the Fred Rouse Center for Arts and Community Healing.
Love it. Love it.
Very cool. She also lives in, I'm sure they would be thrilled with that.
I know.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Didn't even grade it.
Come back.
She also lives in Fort Worth with her wife, Marcel. Please welcome Sharon Herrera.
That's my friend.
Awesome. Before we get into it with Sharon, I want to offer a brief overview of the history of queer youth groups in Tarrant County. Now, while we know that LGBTQ youth were always in desperate need of guidance, education, and support, there were little to no places for them to turn in the 1960s and 70s, though LGBTQ-friendly churches like Agape Metropolitan Community Church were on the scene in Fort Worth as early as 1973, and several of the area churches eventually began support groups for LGBTQ youth. The first solid example I found of any such organization was in the early 1980s. When a UTA student elected to perform as the school's mascot, Sam Maverick, in 1980, was subsequently asked to resign because he was gay. Not only did he say no, but he went on to found the Gay and Lesbian Student Association of UTA.
Yeah.
Now, that's just 11 years after the Stonewall riots. This was one of the first school-sanctioned GSAs in the United States. Now, 43 years later, the LGBTQ plus program, as it's now called, is older than the official Pride celebrations of both Fort Worth and Dallas.
Damn!
Now, I asked this question on social. Did anybody recognize who this student was? That student, by the way, was David Mack Henderson,
Oh, really?
whose tireless commitment to LGBTQ rights continued until his untimely death in 2016. David left his fingerprints all over a lot of really important things that happened in this town, so he was a player even back in the day.
Take a drink, baby girl.
So sometime in late 1991 or early 1992, a single parent and one gay man met at the office of Dr. Rita Cotterly, who's the founder of the Sexuality Education Center in downtown Fort Worth. This was the beginning of what would become the Fort Worth chapter of PFLAG, Parents, Family, and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. Over the next few months, the group expanded to 10 to 15 people attending regularly on a monthly basis. And with the encouragement of the then regional director of PFLAG, the group submitted an application to become a chapter of the national organization and was chartered in 1992. The chapter began holding meetings at the First Jefferson Unitarian Universalist Church, where it continues to meet year-round. Now, while this is not a youth group per se, PFLAG has always welcomed folks of all ages and promotes the health and well-being of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender persons, their families and friends, through support to cope with an adverse society, education to enlighten an ill-informed public, and advocacy in discrimination and secure equal civil rights. In March of 1993, a group of LGBTQ plus Texas Christian University students met off campus at the nearby Wesley Foundation House for the first time. The house provided a safe space for students to fully be themselves and to provide support to one another. The TCU Triangle became the school's first official LGBTQ plus student organization on April 28, 1994. They were still cautious about meeting openly on campus, so they kept meeting at the Wesley Foundation. In fact, you had to get like a secret password to get in back in the days. And they would place an ad in the TCU Daily Skips, so they would contact the faculty advisor to find out where the building was and what was going on. And yes, there is a young me right there on the right. Yeah. We're here, we're queer, we're on Deadline t-shirt from the National Lesbian Journalists Association.
Love it.
That was on the open field that used to be right in front of Frog Fountain, which is now nothing but buildings.
Wow.
So, also in April of 1994, the Tarrant County Lesbian Gay Alliance received money from the Chicago Resource Center to start the TEEN Project. It's an organization committed to providing accurate information and positive support to LGBTQ teens, as well as those questioning their sexuality. The project was spearheaded once again by Rita Cotterly of the Sexuality Education Center as a cooperative effort between the Tarrant County and Lesbian Gay Alliance, Global Chapter of PFLAG, and the Health Education and Learning Project. The group also offered the Teen Project Talk Line, Wednesdays through Sundays, with trained volunteers offering information and support over the phone, as well as regular support group meetings. Now, this picture, this is Rita on the left, obviously, and David Reed, who was the president of the Alliance. That's at the bar called The Other Place, which is long gone. But funny story, Rita was a former nun.
Wow.
And it was at one of her sex and spaghetti parties that she taught me for the very first time, using a wooden model, mind you, how to properly put on a condom. So I learned how to put on a condom the correct way from a nun. Gotta squeeze that reservoir tip, gotta leave room. Won't work. She called it Woody. All right, it's time for Woody. We're going to learn how to put on condoms. Love Rita. She's still around. I've been trying to get Rita to come out and talk to us. Finally, in September of 2010, the first meeting of LGBTQ SAVES, and the SAVES stands for Students, Allies, Volunteers, Educators, Support. They held their first meeting in Sharon's backyard. I could tell you more, but let's go right to the source, shall we? Let's talk with Sharon Herrera. So Sharon, first of all, tell us a little bit about how the organization started and what inspired you to begin LGBTQ SAVES.
Well, I work for the largest school district in Fort Worth, in Texas, one of the largest school districts, and I knew there was a lot of bullying going on, especially toward the LGBT community. And in September 2010, there were 8 to 9 suicides in our nation that triggered my own suicide attempt. I attempted suicide at the age of 16. A long time ago. I'm going to be 60 this year. And hopefully Sarah, where are you, Sarah? Sarah probably will be able to make a little announcement toward the end of this event. Anyway, and like I said, it triggered my suicide attempt, and I wanted to do something. So that's how LGBTQ Saves was born. I had a name, but it was just me. So I gathered two handfuls of people from the district, including David Henderson, who you saw just has passed away, and Tom Annable. I don't know if you guys know about Tom Annable. Please Google Tom Annable. He was my mentor. They were both in my backyard, along with a group of teachers and some parents that their kids were being bullied. And so that's how it started. And we didn't know what exactly we were going to do. So the first event that we had was a prom. And it happened in 2011 because we had to save some money because everything was out of our pocket. I recall the first year we only had $267 in the bank account, but that was all our money. So 27 kids showed up to the first event, and all of us adults were in the background crying because we never got that opportunity, and the kids were just having a blast. So Tom Annable made sure that the Fort Worth PD were involved because even back then there was a lot of hate and a lot of danger. So that's how LGBTQ Saves was born.
So, tell me a little bit about the mission of the organization and some of the services you provide. And I have your slideshow here too, so please let me know if there's something I should go to. But I think I've got some mission statements.
I've had 2 cranberry vodkas, so that's that's my favorite drink. Just anyway. No. Anyway, so our mission is, my personal mission is to save lives. That is what I always tell people. I want to save lives because too many kids are taking their lives still today in 2013. I attempted in the late 70s. I had a Latina, small town, San Angelo, Texas. Anybody know San Angelo, Texas? Angelo State University, Senator's daughter, my first place of employment. And it was a Catholic priest that told me I was going to hell, which finalized that, yes, I couldn't live anymore. So my choice of taking my life was Drano. And I chose Drano because there was no guns in the house, and I didn't really know about drugs back then. One of my former students. I was a teacher for a while at Fort Worth High School. Anyway, and as I was about to ingest my Drano, my Aunt Margaret, walked in on me, and it was something a force stronger than myself because she lived down the street, not with us, and she happened to walk in on me when I was about to ingest.
Wow.
And she said 7 words, and that is the reason I'm talking to you guys today. And those 7 words were, "I know, mija, you don't like boys."
Right.
Boom, she hit it, right? But we never talked about it again. But it takes one affirming adult to save a life, and it still stands true today. My aunt is going to be 82 on Saturday. We text almost every day. She's an incredible human being, and she is the reason I'm sitting here in front of you today. Like I said, we provide physical and virtual programs to offer hope. But like I said, my number one goal is to save lives. And I have proof in my heart, in emails and text messages, that we are truly saving lives.
So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is it's been a particularly dark time lately, especially for LGBTQ youth, our trans brothers and sisters. We've been seeing a lot of really alarming changes in organized attacks on local educational infrastructure, particularly targeted LGBTQ youth, and also anyone who supports them, which is another very concerning thing. What are some of the most concerning things that you've been seeing locally happening within Fort Worth ISD as well as other areas?
I'm being called to speak at different meetings that they're having with these hateful groups that are coming at Fort Worth ISD because of the gender education, because of the book banning. It's really ugly. And I'm reminded of Harvey Milk, that is my hero, how back then in the 70s he was trying to protect teachers from being fired or be identifying as LGBT, and here we are again. That's just right around the corner, I believe, the way it's getting in the state of Texas, in Fort Worth in particular. So just the fact that they want to erase our history, they want to kick us out of the library, they want to kick us out of books, they want to kick us out of the hospitals, of the doctors, our health. It's crazy what's happening, and it's like a pendulum swing. It's like, here we go again.
Yeah.
And it's scary to me because I want to provide hope, but at the same time, all I can say is that I'm doing the best that I can while I'm here. While I am alive, I'm going to continue providing that hope to youth, because it's very dark right now.
I mean, are there things that everyone here can do to help out on that front? I know one of the things that Jenna talks about a lot is getting people to come to these damn meetings and just stand up and have a voice for our side, because their side is lining up to get up and just beat us down on the microphone. And having folks show up and talk makes a huge difference. But I was wondering if there's anything else we could do or should be doing.
I can't say donate. We are 100% donor funded. I was told when I first started this organization that we would not last 2 or 3 years because we're 100% donor funded and volunteer based. But here we are 13 years later. And we are saving lives. The Tarleton State, I have to give kudos to Tarleton State, the other purple university here in this town. Sorry. They came aboard in 2015. They're social work interns. They provide all their hours free to us, 75 hours, 30, 30, and 15. And I would have not have survived without them. They created our first, yes. From the vendor events that we used to attend, that we still attend, the website, they actually started our first website. It's been through a lot and changed a lot, but they were doing everything and anything for us, attending the drag shows, attending the events that we were invited to receive donations. So Tarleton State, I'm standing because of them. And but the number one thing is donorship, is donating to us, because we haven't applied for grants because of the fear. And we are seeking a grant writer, if there's anybody out there that wants to volunteer for us. But yeah, the grant, we haven't applied for a lot of grants because of the fear that's going on right now and all the hate. So we rely heavily on donations, especially from companies like Atmos, companies like WebTac. I don't want to list everybody because I might forget, but if you go into our website, we have our sponsors. And yes, our website, Kroger. If you shop at Kroger, let them know that you would like to sponsor LGBTQ saves, and a portion of what you purchase comes to us. Amazon no longer does that, but Kroger has been. And but yeah, just go see all the sponsors that we have and all the donors that we have.
That was one of the things I was curious about, because you mentioned that you were almost entirely donor funded. You have done some grants in the past, I'm guessing?
Small grants. Sandy, is Sandy here? Hi, Sandy. That's one of my grant writers. She got us, what was it, $5,000?
Yes.
Yes, from Park Place. Was it Park Place? Yes.
Okay.
Small, businesses here, they will support us. Best Buy will support us. Michael's will support us. There's a lot of organizations in town that have been supporting us.
Okay.
Because we've seen such open hostility particularly from our state government, particularly. That's what I was wondering about. You have to be careful in the way that you apply for grants, or are you having to steer clear of certain subject matter? I mean, it's problematic because they are literally using children as a cudgel against us. They're saying everything is for the sake of the children, when they can, not give a rat's ass about the kids at all. So I'm curious if that is problematic for you to ask grant funding when you're talking about LGBTQ youth specifically.
I can tell you, we've been in Fort Worth for 13 years, and none of the local foundations have funded us. So that in itself speaks volumes of this city. Again, we have a lot of work to do in Cowtown, Texas. I always tell the story. I was in Austin, Texas, running an H-E-B grocery store, and I had a near-death accident. A truck T-boned me, and I cracked my skull in half and learned how to walk again. So that's why I always say unfortunately myself brought me to the city of Fort Worth, because I would have never moved to a town referred to as Cowtown. But somebody else had different plans, and here we are. So yeah, the city, we have a lot of work to do. So we've been here 13 years. And it's interesting how people from different states, Connecticut, Ohio, Michigan, and Florida, during COVID, I panicked. Remember I told you I'm going to be 60? I said, what the hell are we going to do? We're at a bar, right? Anyway, and one of my younger staff said, let's go virtual. And I said, okay, what does that look like? And we went virtual, and because we went virtual, we went from serving 30 kids a month to over 300. We're now in Connecticut, Ohio, Michigan, and Florida. I'll tell you a story about the young man in Michigan. His dad found out he was gay, so he beat him up. And he Googled and Googled and Googled and found us in Texas.
Wow.
So we were able to get CPS involved, and he now lives with his grandmother. So we support him by providing gift cards for food and clothing and stuff like that. So that's how a lot of our money goes to supporting the youth that are out there needing our help.
You don't have any idea how many other similar organizations there are around the country?
Trevor's Project is out there, huge organization, but I have to remind people that we're here local.
Right.
So please remember
Boots
us.
on the ground.
Well, I'm curious. It seems like it was troubling to me that he had to search so hard.
Yeah,
I would think most states would have something. I mean,
I don't think all states have that.
Yeah.
A young person in what was that? Was it Idaho? His parents told him to search an organization that they wanted to give $500 for Christmas, and he found us.
Oh my God.
So,
did they?
yeah, they donated $500 with a message. And the neat thing, I was writing today, a small plumbing business in Dallas asked one of my ambassadors, Rosie Bermeja, if she knew, she had more details about LGBTQ studies because he was wanting to donate because it's Pride Month. Right. And before we could call him back, he had already researched our website and found all the answers that he needed. And he said, expect a check to be coming. So the website's pretty informative.
Yeah.
So.
Great. Well, I'm gonna.
I just spent my monthly constitution here
So I wanted to. You've got your PowerPoint here, and it has some great information about some of the services that you provided. I'd love for you to kind of explain some of these a little bit further, so everybody knows what exactly you guys are doing.
The programs are every Thursday. We provide 2 virtual and 2 in-person meetings. Eamon Carter does our 4th Thursday. They provide art classes and anything and everything that Charles needs to know about art on the 4th Thursday. The 2nd Thursday is either we bring in Lambda Legal to educate our youth, or we have a self-care, or whatever the children want. They're always at the table when we're making decisions before the next year starts. The parent happy hours we have quarterly, and that's like a P flag, but it's souped up because we have guest speakers from all over. Have any of you all seen Trans in Trumpland? No. If you get the opportunity, please see that, Trans in Trumpland. The actor and the director actually came to speak to our kids and our parents. It is the most powerful, the best documentary on transgender people. Trans in Trumpland.
Where's it at? Netflix?
Netflix, Hulu.
Oh, really?
Trans in Trumpland. Topic, yes. We have the Lifeline chat, and that's through our Discord, and the kids are chatting with each other. They can talk about cooking, art, deep, whatever conversation they want to have. And we have adults monitoring that because we have trigger words that'll pick up what they're talking about, and so one of us adults can jump on, or one of our therapists can jump on. Scholarships, 2 scholarships in June, 2 scholarships in December to a high school student that's about to graduate that's been with us, or a college intern that's been with us. So they can apply for these scholarships up to 3 times. The first one was $250. Now we're at $1,000. So 2 in June and 2 in December. So, and then quarterly dinners. We're about to have our quarterly dinner May the Saturday. And it's just a time to break bread with our staff, with our board members, with our parents, with our youth. And we're always looking for sponsors to sponsor those dinners. So those are as well. Novak Hair Solution Studio and Acute Salon, they provide free haircuts for our youth. Okay? Novak does it for free. Acute Church is just a smaller organization, and all of our members can get a free haircut through these organizations. We also perform gender affirming shapewear. So whatever our trans or non-binary children may need, everything's free if they're a member. Because our binders are $50 a piece.
And this is giving kids a chance to pick a hairstyle that That's just what they want.
What they want, exactly. Like I said, our virtual happy hour and QBR training is our suicide prevention training. We provide that for all of our volunteers, our board members, our ambassadors and staff. And at this time, I'm going to ask some of our board members, ambassadors to stand because they're in the audience. So please stand if you're an ambassador or a board member. These are the people that do all the work behind the scenes and keep me going, keep me alive, because this is very hard work.
Yeah, tell us about the background of this picture. I love this photo here.
This happened at our last Pride picnic, so this year instead of having 2 police officers, we're going to have 5, because one of my ambassadors said, let's do 5 instead of 4, and that's 250 a pop. And we're also working with Lieutenant Gory to make sure that they can immediately be called in case there's any type of violence. So yes, these guys showed up at one of our events for youth. They were very loud, very proud, but the families that were there and the people who were there created a human fence, a human border in front of them, and also Elizabeth Beck, our councilwoman, she called in the troops, and things were handled. We couldn't get them off the property, but we could tell them to tone it down because it was too loud. And we had loud music in front of them as well. And the youth, they looked at them, took pictures of them, and then just kept being themselves. So, but yes, these are some haters. Now, I've had my job threatened, I've had my life threatened, but yeah, my wife is kind of upset about this picture. She hates it. So.
Why does she hate it? You look so tough.
I was just like in shock about it. Somebody told me something funny about these guys the next time I see them, but I'm not going to say what that person said to me. I have that look.
I think I know what it was.
You look like you're about to kick ass and chew gum and you're all in
How to get involved. Well, if you want to volunteer, get on our website and fill out our volunteer form. We do a background check. Whatever, spread the message of hope. That's the number one thing you can do. I get calls at 5 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock at night. My wife is used to it and she's cool about it. My foundation is solid at home, so I appreciate that because she understands now. Now you have to understand my wife, there's 3 sisters and all 3 are lesbians.
Wow.
Okay? Fully accept it. Mother and father fully accept it. So when she found out what I was doing here, she was from San Angelo. She moved here in 2013 and she knew better. Just kidding. And she didn't realize the pain, what these kids were going through until she started spending time with the kids and realized, oh my God, how great she had it and how terrible the majority of the LGBT community has it. So she's very supportive, and she's not here today because she's heard me speak 1,000 times. And I go home with this big head, right, all excited, and she goes, "Take out the trash." So anyway, and I'll tell you our story in a little bit.
Yeah.
More on how to get involved.
Awesome.
And there's some more information that I shared.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all the socials.
Please. The number one thing is to provide these youth hope, because I want to say the world's getting better, but I don't know. But like I said, while I'm here, I'm going to try to make it better.
Yeah.
And but I do see the youth standing up to these bullies, and not really. There was some protests at a local high school against LGBT community, and of course the parents call me concerned, but the kids are more like, oh, taking pictures with them, and then they walk away.
Yeah.
So I love the mentality, but I want to make sure they're equipped, because adults can be ugly. So that's why we have Lambda Legal and ACLU come and educate our youth to know the laws and see what's really going on behind the scenes.
So, I know something you mentioned earlier, what I was curious about. What are they teaching them specifically about what the limits of the law are when it comes to that type of interaction with people like that?
Especially when we're at an outing, we tell our kids, do not engage, just walk away. And then with Lambda Legal and ACLU, they'll tell them the laws and what's really going on behind the scenes, especially in Texas.
Right.
So whatever the parent or the child needs to know.
Great. And we'll have this up too a little bit later too, so that you can scan. But one of the things that this is something that's been on my mind a lot lately. Like I said, it has been grim, and the headlines every morning that I listen to when I wake up are really beginning to get depressing, especially with on the educational front, with what they're doing in schools, what they're doing particularly to target young people. And one of the things that I've always taken some comfort in over the years is that I am seeing, at least in my world, I am seeing real progress with the generations that have come after me. Every generation that's come after me, and there are, I don't know, 2 or 3, 4, now, I don't know how many there are. But the thing that they all seem to have in common is that each generation seems to give less of a fuck about this particular issue. They have queer friends, they have trans friends, and this is not important to them, and this is a failing issue for the GOP, that they seem to have tripled down on it lately. So I'm curious, because I got into a debate. We had a panel discussion at UTA, of one of the history lecture series they had there, and I was debating with my friend Leslie Phelps, who has been a guest here at YesterQueer, talking about the history of major legal cases in Texas. And Leslie had kind of given a dour view of the future. He didn't really think that we should place a whole lot of optimism in our young people to save us. And and this was, I need all the optimism I can get, and I think we all do. But I hope, are you a little more optimistic that this generation is going to push us back toward the light?
I believe this youth, like you said, they don't care. I just hope that they get to the voting booths and vote.
Right.
And that's why the education piece is so important, and how they can make change in this world.
Yeah.
But they do give, people always say, I give them hope, the kids give me hope. I may not see it in my lifetime. Harvey Milk didn't get to see it.
That's right.
So there's so many people that did not get to see their work. Tom Annable didn't get to see this. I remember Tom Annable said that we would never get married. They would never approve it. And they did. So we can't give up.
Yeah.
It's our youth. We just have to take care of our youth. We have to make sure that we're providing the youth everything that they need to be good thrive. And that's what we're trying to do. I am concerned about our rural towns, like our small towns, San Angelo, Texas in itself. A lot of, because they have no support. So the suicide rates are going back up. But I want to, that's why I depend on everybody that's here and everybody that I talk to, spread our message. I don't care.
Yeah.
Just spread our message. I will answer that phone call. We will answer that text. We will answer that email.
So one of the things I had a great privilege of being at, and again, it was another sketchy day. There was a recent event at Tulips, this is a bar just north of here, and they had an all-ages drag show that was benefiting LGBTQ saves. And it was a particularly grim day because it was also the day of a shooting that occurred in another state by a trans woman. And it was one of those events that I felt like I have to be here. I have to go. And I know it's a little scary, but it ended up being a giant nothing burger. It was like 8 pathetic protesters. And we had like 250 to 300 people in attendance. The majority of which were straight, I think, and which was incredible. And that event was just unbelievable. And there were kids there, and it was a great show, and it was fine for all audiences. But now we're starting to see some horrific blowback from that exact event. And I don't know if you could talk at all about that. Are you familiar with what's going on?
Yes, I know. His own landlord is working against him, threatened him not to ever have a drag show there again.
And did you say no drag show or no all-age drag show?
No drag shows.
Period.
Wow. That's what I was told.
Wow.
So it's getting ugly everywhere, but like I said, I've got to stay solid and positive because of the youth that we serve.
Yeah.
Well, and that event to me was a shining example of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
There were 8 people.
8 people, that was it. And I didn't realize that they were going to do a fundraiser for us. He had reached out to me and he had said, hey, come and support. And then all of a sudden the drag queens found out about LGBTQ saves. Again, they didn't know about us. So I said, let's raise the money for LGBTQ saves. So that was incredible, incredible
You
night.
guys raised
Yeah, some good fun.
a really,
Yeah.
a healthy chunk of change. I'm just saying.
Yes.
It was a fantastic event.
It's a great event.
Well, yeah, on that same thought, folks, drag shows everywhere are really in a dicey position, and Texas is doing everything in its power to try and do away with them, even though it seems to me to be such an open and shut case of free speech. And even the trolls that Trump put on the Supreme Court,
Right.
it's amendment number 1, man, for a reason. It's so simple.
It's crazy. I mean, when I started working with the former KKK building, I learned in 1937 the KKK raided La Paloma in Florida, which is now, I can't remember, Miami, Florida. And they raided a gay club because there were drag performers inside that. Over 100 KKK came in and raided it. And shut them down for a little bit, and then they built it back up, and they just back and forth, back and forth.
Where was this?
In Florida.
Florida.
1937, La Paloma was the club. It was way before the the Stonewall riots. That history is not known by a lot of people.
Right. Yeah, well, and the local gay community has had its run-ins with the Klan in the past too. They've come to different pride events and protested and stuff. So, tell me a little bit more about that, because that's a super exciting project. 'Cause I've seen that building sitting there dormant for years. I know the Public Ballet was talking about it for a while. What is the progress, and where are we on that?
With that, we need $45 million, but we have people working on that.
Let me get my thing.
It is an incredible building. The history is horrible.
Yeah.
And they built that building to, I'm not from Fort Worth, but they said the African American and Hispanic people were on the other side of that big building. They made it so big so they would see that big building, fear crossing that bridge to come over to Fort Worth and work. So, yes, north side, and and the grandson of Fred Rouse found out that it was his grandfather that was lynched here at the stockyards. His wife was watching the news, and they announced it, that what we were doing. And his wife said, "Hey, that's your name, Fred Rouse." He's Fred Rouse Jr. He's his grandfather.
Wow.
And that's how he became part of us. He had heard it on the news that his grandfather was lynched here 102 years ago now. So, it was crazy. He lived the beating that he received at the stockyards by, he crossed the picket line because he had to work. And they beat him up and they left him for dead at the stockyards. His family found out about it, took him to the hospital, downtown Fort Worth. And the KKK found out about it, so 40 of them rushed into the hospital to where he was at and dragged him to be lynched. And that's a horrible story. I'm sure there's a lot of stories like that in Fort Worth, but this is the first one that we've shed light on.
Yeah, there have been some really parts of our past.
Yes.
There's a very famous photo of a public lynching it was on the front page of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, and they actually sold copies of the photos. Yeah. Star-Telegram's got a dark past too. I worked there for 18 years, so it's like I don't let them forget it. It's like, not to mention the fact they fucked me over too. So. But all right, I'd like to open it up to anyone who has any questions for Sharon or me, or anyone who would like to share a story. I know Sharon mentioned you had a story you were going to tell us.
Yes, there's one of the pictures that I have that I often post on my Facebook. It says whether children are watching and listening, whether they're 7, 17, or 27. The reason I added a 27-year-old is because one of my interns from Charlton State, she started working with us, right? And loving it and taking it home, and her 27-year-old son was listening to all the joy she had serving LGBTQ youth. And at 27, he was contemplating suicide. But because his mom was working with us and he was hearing all this, he was able to come out of the closet to her, and it saved his life. So yeah, that's the one.
If anyone has any questions, feel free to pipe in.
Yes, I'm gay.
Oh, me too.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I actually did some work with the youth at LGBT Save with a little tea class I had that they're helping set up. It's so rewarding. I just want to say that it's so rewarding, and if you have any part of your heart that is curious about doing it, go for it, sign up for it. It was really great, and thank you, Sharon, for all the work.
Thank you, Mika. Love you. Thank you. Come back.
Absolutely.
What type of age range are you?
12 to 24.
Oh, 24, okay.
Yeah.
You have a lot of 12-year-olds?
Yes, we do. And with the 12-year-olds, we ask the parents to come with them. 1 to 13, they can come by themselves.
And the parents are usually supportive of the whole thing?
Very supportive.
That's good.
The ones that reach out to us. Now, during COVID, the Hispanic numbers went out, Latino Hispanic numbers went from 17 to 39%. I had a lot of mothers calling me for help because these kids were trapped at home during COVID and they weren't as scared to come out. So mothers were reaching out for help. And never heard from a father, but mothers were calling left and right.
Yes.
I'm an ambassador, and I was also one of the group leaders when we did the paint class. Super rewarding. One, I want to reiterate what she said about one adult can cut a risk of suicide for a student or a child by 50%. So even just saying you're okay makes that difference in their entire life. Secondly, like they mentioned, you can jump in for one time and bring a lot. You got to go through the background check, but bring your gifts to the kids. 2 events that, as an ambassador, that I like to get my hands in there and help volunteer with. I always love the October Pride that is inside. I like the Summer Pride, that's in June. And then at Christmas, there's always a Santa giveaway. And those are some of the most beautiful events. If you don't feel like you can commit year-round, you know, those are great times to jump in and make it happen.
Thank you, Tyler. I love you.
I'm fond of you as well, Tyler.
Can you say more about how you support each other within programs that LGBTQ saves?
Support like our board members or ambassadors?
No,
or
like how they support each other, like their cross collaboration.
Oh, the babies?
Between ages. Yes,
it is incredible. These kids, sometimes I sneak in and just watch all the conversations that they're having. The minute somebody says I'm sad or I'm not good, like 5 or 6 kids jump on. They're constantly talking to one another, supporting one another. These babies, I mean, I can't imagine having that back then.
Right.
But this is what it's for, and this is what we do. These babies support one another like you wouldn't believe. They're right there for each other. My mom doesn't like me. My mom doesn't call me by my new name.
Right.
And they're just okay. It'll take time. You know, my mom did the same thing. Give her some time. It's not that she wants to kick you out there or hate you, but she just needs time. So they support one another, and I love to see that. If all of us as adults did that, can you imagine how beautiful the world would be? I'm a fan of Imagine, so I'm still imagining.
I just have a call to action. So I met Sharon through my time at Atmos Energy, and I would just encourage everybody. We all work for somebody, hopefully, right? And so we can, you know, I was responsible as their government affairs and public affairs manager, and I met her through one of my counterparts who's also part of the LGBTQ community, and we just kicked her to the curb, and me and you just became like girlfriends outside of Marcel. But the point is that I found a way, I found a loophole to allocate money, and leadership matters, corporate responsibility, social responsibility. It shouldn't be a tagline. It's not a soundbite. We all work for somebody. Hold your leadership accountable and ask for that money. Don't wait for every day's Pride Day. Every day's Mother's Day. Sharon, I wish her a happy Mother's Day. Why? Because she's a mother to so many kids and so many people who have, sadly, people who are their moms that shouldn't be. At that particular moment, and I can only imagine what she goes through. And so I can only say this: I am no longer, the only reason why I hate that I'm no longer part of Atmos Energy is because I can't give you the money that you deserve. But that's why I challenge all of you. If it's, right now, we're all suffering economically, but we all work for somebody, $100, $200. $50, $25. We all heard what she's doing. You know, we're giving gift cards to these kids. Go to your leadership. And it's so telling when people, we need to start listening to people's inaction, right? And so we shouldn't have to wait for voting. We shouldn't have to wait for all of that. Hold people accountable. And so it's just, for me, a call to action, Sharon. Thank you so much for being a pillar of hope. Thank you so much for being a chingona. Thank you for being a badass. Thank you for being real. Thank you for being who you are. You know, I'm a part of the LGBTQ Saves because of Sharon. My fight is autism, but inclusion is inclusion.
Right.
And so Sharon's fight is my fight.
Right.
And so we all can leave here, whether it's $1, $5, but if we can't personally, go to our leadership.
That's right.
And say, what are you doing for people like me?
That's right.
It's not enough to just smile at me in my face.
Yeah.
What are you doing behind my back?
Yeah.
So thank you, Sharon. I love you.
I love you too.
You mean everything to me. And I'm going to fight to find another Atmos Energy because you deserve that money.
Yeah.
You deserve that money. The United Ways of America, the Salvation Armies of America will be fine.
Yeah.
It's the people who are doing the boots on the ground, the grassroots efforts. This is Sharon, LGBTQ Saves.
That's right.
And I'd like to second that, and also like to broaden it a little too. All of our LGBTQ organizations are suffering right now. They are doing everything in their power to target us at every single end, and that includes our bars. We have 4 bars, and I'm excited to announce that we have 2 new gay bars coming to Fort Worth. Maybe next month, in time for Pride. So, that's exciting to me because we've been seeing the slow decline. We've talked about this a lot at YesterQueer. You know, our last big topic was where have all the lesbian bars gone? We had 30 lesbian bars in the town. In Fort Worth over the years, we had more than 300 in the United States, and there's 37 left in the country. So they're coming after us with every single thing they can. They're using drag right now, but they're going to come after TABC licenses. They're going to do all kinds of things to fuck with bars because they want to. And that's
because we are a safe haven.
right.
We are a community, and they want to take away our safe spaces. So we just have to remember, and for all of you that come here, know that water, coffee, soda, that's always free. Because sometimes you just need to be around some people. And so I don't need you to give me money. Sometimes when you just need a hug or a conversation or just to be reminded how valuable we all fucking are and how strong our voices are. But that's what they're afraid of, is that we're stronger together. Lift each other up every day. I'm so sorry, Tasha.
Emotion again. Blah, 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 blah.
That's fine, y'all. Just have another drink.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments or anything? Yes.
I just want to say that Fort Worth has a flourishing LGBTQ community and organizations. Trinity Pride, YesterQueer, Liberty Lounge, LGBTQ Saves, Impact DFW, which is literally a door down right here. Finn's Place, all in Fort Worth. Hi, Jenny. All in Fort Worth. You don't need to go to Dallas. Fuck Dallas. And you don't need to donate. You can share a post. You can like something. And that is free, and it helps these orgs tremendously. So I would just say
community.
Yes. So get involved and let people know that Fort Worth is a good place for queer folks to be at.
I promised I was going to talk about my wife for a little bit.
Talk about
it.
Dish, girl, dish.
Yes.
And if you want to see a picture of her, where's the magazine?
Google.
Can you open it up?
Page 74.
There she is.
Gorgeous.
I'm the feature story in the North Texas DFW magazine. Anyway, so we met in 1984.
Wow.
I'm old, okay? I'm old.
Wow.
And first kiss, first love for me. Never. We dated for 6 months. Life happened. My mother died. I joined the military. I'm a veteran from the Air Force. We didn't see each other for 28 years.
What?
Yes. 28 years. I go back to my 30-year reunion. It's at a club, right? Jamming, dancing, and she's in the club, and I see her and I freeze, right? She's gorgeous. And I said, do you want a drink? She said, yes. So I bought her a drink, sat down for a little while, we talked. She said, I asked, what have you been doing? She said, waiting for you to grow up.
Oh my
I'm like, oh, okay. And all those feelings that I ran away from in 1984 just came flooding back. First kiss, first love. I proposed to her that summer. It was Cinco de Mayo, has nothing to do with Independence Day. So fast forward to the summer, I proposed to her the same spot we met in 1984.
Wow.
And she said yes. So we eloped to Vegas because of the baby. Just kidding. There's no baby. We eloped to Vegas, and she chose the date 12, 13, 14. And we got married in Vegas. And she moved down here from San Angelo in 2013, and life is good.
That's
Life is good.
I'm curious about that because, and I probably should ask Marcel this, but it's like, having run a couple of gay organizations over the years, I was married, my husband was the technical director for Q Cinema for most of that time. And I remember when I told him I was going to retire from Q Cinema, he literally started crying because he was so relieved after having to do it for so long. But how does she feel like, because I completely related to you, like, I've seen you talk 100 times, I've heard it all before. Tell me about it afterwards. How does she cope with you being, you know, who you are, you're just on call all the time?
Like I said, when I go home today, she's going to tell me to take out the trash because my head's this big. But her number one fear is being killed. Yeah, because, you know, it's crazy out there.
Yeah.
But other than that, she knows I was going to be in a safe space, and she worries a little bit when I come out here, but not worries about when I walk out of here and get in my truck and go home. So very supportive. To this day, has
Maybe
not.
escort fellas, just saying, or ladies, or everybody, we can all just go together as a big group and walk in the car.
Woo! I love my wife.
She's beautiful.
Some things are yeah.
In Sacramento.
Yeah. She's a beautiful human being, and that is my foundation. I could not do this work without her. I've had exes that weren't supportive. So, yes, that's why I live in Texas. But I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing if I didn't have her by my side.
Do you, a little deep, do you get scared? I mean, have you ever been, like, fearful? I mean, I'm assuming you must have gotten letters or, you know,
I've actually got
threats.
emails and letters and Facebook threats.
Yeah.
And one was a priest that was kicked out of Catholicism, and he was threatening me.
Pretty Christ-like.
So,
As Jesus would do, you know.
the last person that threatened my life was in Burleson, and she made the mistake of emailing me and telling me that. And so the FBI got a hold of the messages and sent me a picture of her, and she's a meth head. And when I told her she was being investigated, because I'm very kind, and I told her, look, please stop, you're being investigated. So they sent me a picture, and she stopped, she started apologizing and stuff like that. But you never know these people that
And now
are
she's
doing
Senator Marjorie Taylor Greene.
And she is scary woman. Anyway, but yeah, so it's, I don't know, I can't tell you I'm going to stop because I'm not scared.
Right.
If my Ama, the lady that raised me, I was adopted when I was 3 days old because my mother left me in the hospital, and my grandmother adopted me, and she used to tell me the most innocent man on this earth was crucified, and who are you to think you're better? Wow. So because I was always protecting somebody as a kid and standing up for people that were being picked on. So that's kind of who I am, my character. If it burns a bridge, if it rights are wrong and I have to burn the bridge down, I'm going to burn the bridge down. I'm tired of tiptoeing.
Yeah.
So I do fall under the Whistleblower Protection Act at Fort Worth ISD, I'll be very honest. I testified against the district because they wrongfully terminated a gentleman, and we're still in litigation 12 years later. So, yeah, it's just who I am.
Are you working, you're still working for
I'm still working there. They had to create a position for me because I couldn't find a So, here I
Has that
am.
gotten kind of don't know, frightening or problematic?
She's
Because
in a great position now.
She's a badass.
Not at all. So it allows
runs
me
the
to do
place.
everything. I have 2 consulting businesses. I have my nonprofit, LGBTQ Saves, and I also run full-time before that. And I'm able to do everything I can right now. It also helps my depression and my anxieties, because I have to be going 100 miles an hour.
Right.
I cannot afford idle time. So,
it definitely is exciting for people that support what you do. I mean, I work for American Airlines, so it's like, I just started that job when the Rainbow Lounge raid happened, and I was on TV every night on every single TV station, and I'm like, oops, am I gonna get in trouble for that? It was like, as long as you don't talk about American Airlines.
I mean, I know there's a target on my back because I also challenged them to change the policies.
Right.
We were the first school district in the state of Texas to add protection for LGBTQ youth and staff.
Oh, wow.
But it is what it is. I mean, what else am I going to do?
Exactly.
You know, I do believe each and every one of us can make this world a better place, and you have to do what you can to make it better. Our youth depend on it. That's just my belief. And when instead of saying sincerely on my emails, I always say, what are you doing to make this world a better place? So people actually answer me, and I love it.
It's curious because there are a lot of people that, I know there's a lot of grousing that comes around. Pride Month is coming next month, by the way. I don't know if anybody knows. Couple things going on in June. But one of the things that comes up every time Pride Month arrives is that, corporations put their rainbow-colored logos out everywhere, and queens everywhere bitch about it in the bars. And I've tried to tell people a few times, it's like, look, I work for American Airlines.
Yeah.
The credit union, not the airline. We're part of the airline. So because the airline is, so rainbow everything, they put their rainbow logo in Facebook. So I asked, because I'm in charge of social media, can we do that? And they're like, well, sure, American does it, we can do it. So for me, it was a victory because, and it meant something to me as a gay employee. It meant something to all of the other gay employees that work at the organization. So I try to let people know it's like, yes, it can come across as, corporate suck up and that it'll disappear like, first days alive, but it does mean something to the people that work there and to, and who knows how many other people. And I hope that young people see it and they see, I didn't see that shit when I was a kid. I mean, nobody had rainbow anything when I was a kid.
Yes,
So,
and it just provides more hope.
yeah.
And just, people are so angry, and it's like, just take it in, take it in.
Yeah.
Anybody have any other questions before we wrap up?
I have a final announcement.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Sarah is my board chair, and I love her to death. My wife is Stephanie over here. Raise your hand, Stephanie.
We are Dana and Tanya right now. I need to apologize for that with the matching outfits.
That wasn't planned? You didn't plan that at all? You didn't follow each other?
Talk about it. Sharon knows,
You know they did.
Sharon knows how much I adore her, and I definitely don't think I would have come back to Fort Worth had an organization like LGBTQ not existed. But I'm going to tell you, if it existed when I was a youth, I probably wouldn't have left. And I told her that from the day we met. My father, when he was trying to understand what it meant, like I have this queer pansexual daughter, what does that mean? He beelined to Sharon, who's like the Fort Worth lesbian. He's like, what do I mean? And so that's really how we got connected. And I'm so fortunate to serve in this position. And I think you heard the beginning of her story that, she didn't necessarily want to be here, but in October she's going to be celebrating 60 years. 13 years of formally saving lives under LGBTQ Saves, but we're going to have a huge celebratory fundraiser in Sharon's honor in October. So this is like the call to action. This is an opportunity for you to come, for you to contribute. Our goal is to raise $6,000 for 60. Although you don't look a day over 25.
You look good.
It's going to be October 15th. And if you don't already sign up for our newsletter, please do, or follow our social media. And Sharon's serious about this. I get onto her in just the space that I occupy. She does answer her phone at all hours of the night. She She is counseling people, she's showing up, she's challenging people that want to harm our youth. Let's get all of our youth to 16 and beyond, please, and do that by supporting. Come out and celebrate in October. And you're magnificent. I love you so much. Yeah. So if you follow along, follow our social media. We'll have announcements as we get closer.
There you go.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone for attending tonight. Thank you guys so much for coming out and supporting YesterQueer and LGBT. I would also like to thank Jenna Higgs, the owner of Liberty Lounge, and everybody at Liberty Lounge who takes care I also want to thank our technical director, Kyle Arkin, as well as Queen Olivera. Andrew. We are, for the very first time, we are live streaming. All the guests who are able to attend can catch it on YouTube later, and we will be thrilled to do that. So next month, on June 21st, we will be back here, and the topic will be, once again, 50 years of Pride in Tarrant County. It's 50 years we've been doing it. I did a similar talk last year for Trinity Pride. We have a pop-up museum. I've learned a whole lot more since then.
Because that was shit.
I know. I literally yanked that one out of my ass. But it was.
But it was so shiny.
It was. Some polishing beforehand. But I'm also doing that talk for the city on June the 1st. It's going to be telecast over the city channel. I'm talking to the city employees, and it's going to be from the Chamber of Commerce. We're going to do a pop-up museum, and I'm going to talk about it there too. So you get two chances to see it. And then also, a few Pride events are happening that month. So we've got Dallas Pride, we've got Arlington Pride, we've got Trinity Pride, and there's Pride events all month long. So, type into everybody's calendars, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and YouTube. And if you guys have any ideas for future topics you'd like us to discuss, or guests that you would like us to have, I'm open to anything, literally. And I'm single, by the way. I was told today I'm single.
He's open to anything.
I'm a wild people, I'm just saying. But I want to thank everybody for coming to YesterQueer, and I hope you guys have a great time. Have more cocktails.
Wait, the bar staff. Tip your weight, the bar staff.